After almost 10 years reviewing guns and outdoor gear on YouTube, I've developed a pretty good nose for deals, and now I'm sharing what I find with you. Every day on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thelateboyscout, you'll find awesome new deals on guns and outdoor gear. That's also a great place to reach me for questions, and to start discussions with other gun and gear enthusiasts. My Facebook followers are also the first to know when I post my own used gear for sale, so if you like good gear for a great price, follow me on Facebook today. Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning into my list of 5 ultra thin knives for EDC. In my hand is the Ontario Rat Model 1, more or less an average thickness knife, and that's the reason why we're showing it to you here at the beginning, to create sort of a standard of measure as we get into some of the really thin knives that we have here on the table. Now, again, this is fairly average, and I'm showing you this list of 5 thin knives because as you shop for EDC knives, we're all making compromises, right? If we weren't going to make compromises, we'd carry a nice big Crocodile Dundee Bowie knife, and that's going to be the thing that we use for all our cutting tasks. But instead, we want something unobtrusive that slips easily into our pocket, that obviously folds or retracts or whatever. But that's what we want to have for EDC because it's really easy to keep with us. And again, when we're shopping for thinner knives, that's when we're really on the side of ease of carry. We're sacrificing some of that ease of use, but we've still got a good amount of it, and we can carry our knives really easily. So with that in mind, let's start by measuring this guy right here, which again, I think is fairly average. So we've got some calipers here, and we're just gonna see what this amounts to. The Rat Model 1 comes in at about 0.51 inches, so roughly half an inch. And again, I think that's pretty average. Now we can show you some fatter ones here. We've got the Steel Will Tasso, really nice knife, fairly new still. And let's show you what this thing looks like. It comes in at almost 0.6. So just a little bit fatter than that Rat Model 1. We can also go thinner. In fact, this is what I would probably carry on average most of the time, is a knife around this thickness right here, and that's a Spyderco Delica. So let's go ahead and measure this guy. We come in at about 0.39. Yeah, almost 0.4 there, just about 0.4. And that is kind of the sweet spot that I carry most of the time. But I would say that I still do want to have a handful of even thinner than this knives in my collection. So let's get to some of those ultra thin knives. Starting with, great knife, Kershaw Dividend. And we're going to have specs and prices and all that stuff here on the screen, so I don't have to run through so much of it. Kershaw Dividend is a great EDC knife. It was initially released a few years ago, and it's been released in a number of different colors and different steel types. This is the M390 version, USA made, which is awesome. Cool flag on it, cool little backspacer on it. Pocket clip is decent. Yeah, it's not super deep, but it's fine. And it is a liner lock on it. So you see that there are aluminum scales on the outside here and this liner going on there. So that's kind of the function of it. It's also spring assisted with a flipper, and that's how you deploy it. There's no stud, nothing like that. Very simple knife, pretty accessible, not super expensive. The standard version of it, we'll have prices again on screen, but very, very accessible. And I think this is going to be part of Kershaw's lineup for a long time, so I don't feel too nervous about putting this one in the list. I think it's going to be here or be around for a long time. So what is the thickness of the Kershaw Dividend? Once again, we showed you the thickness of those other ones, and I'm putting those on screen right now. So what does the Dividend look like? We've got 0.365 or 366, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll call it 0.366 on the Kershaw Dividend. That's pretty nice as compared to, this one was about 0.4, just about 0.4, again, for that Spyderco. So 0.366, quite a bit thinner in pocket. You really notice it, and it makes it considerably easier to carry in certain situations. So there's the Kershaw Dividend, and we're just gonna get thinner going up from here, guys. So next on the list, this guy. This guy's unbelievable. You get so much knife. It's not too much money. And this one right here, the steel is CTS XHP. Very nice steel. It's in the sort of Bowie shape. And We have aluminum handles here. Yes, handles, not scales, because there are no liners in there. So it's all just an aluminum chunk there. Obviously a back lock, but not really a back lock. It's Cold Steel's triad lock. So very tough knife, very big knife, and incredibly thin for how large it is. So let's look at that thinness and make sure we are calibrated, zeroed. Okay, and we've got 0.353? Man, or 354 is what I measured before, but we're gonna call that 3.5, whoa, even 3.52. Let's call it 3.54. On the Code 4 from Cold Steel. Very nice and thin. And again, for how much you get, that is a huge blade. Again, let's put that side by side with the Ontario Rat Model 1. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about there, guys? Yeah, again, if this is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of average, that is very thin, very, very thin. And obviously lots of blade, you can get lots of good cutting done with it. So again, it fits perfectly into that sweet spot where it's very easy to carry, but you can still have lots of good capability with it. So there's the Cold Steel Code 4. Moving on to number 3, the Case knives, Barlow, and Case has released a number of varieties of the Barlow in 2019. And so there's been some really good looking ones, lots of variety of different colors. We've had multi-blade versions of it. This is the single blade version of it with that sort of spear point on it. We've got, I think it's is it caramel bone? I think that's what they call that. I might have that wrong, but caramel bone sort of cover on it with that beautiful bolster with a line on it. So really good looking knife, obviously smaller and more sort of gentlemanly, sort of not really designed for hard EDC tasks or hard cutting tasks, but it'll get sort of basic cutting done all day long. And it looks really good while it's doing it. So what kind of a thickness do we have from this very classic folder? Let's find out. On the Case Barlow, we've got 0.34, 0.342, 341, or somewhere in that neighborhood. So real nice. Compare that to this guy right here, the Spyderco. You can see that we've actually got, you know, it's considerably thinner. It's going to be sort of in the neighborhood of some of the Swiss Army knives as well. There are a few of them that kind of fit into this same thickness area, but yeah, the Barlow, there's a number of them out there right now, and they're going to be available for a while. They are sort of going to stop production of them after this year, so get some of them while you can. But they are nice and thin when you get the single bladed version of them, so great knives when you want something nice and thin in your pocket. Moving on to second to last one. This is the Boker Titan in carbon fiber. Now, the carbon fiber version of it is going to be super hard to find, so I apologize for that. However, there is a titanium version of it available right now, which is about the same thickness, possibly thinner than this one. And it'll be kind of close in weight as well. So I would say, you know what, I'm happy to put this one on screen even though the carbon fiber can't really be found, because again, the titanium version is out there and it's very, very, very comparable. So this guy is a terrific knife. I've carried it for, well, I haven't carried it recently, but I used to carry it a lot. And it feels really good in hand. It looks really good. And again, lots of good thinness on it. So let's figure out how thin this guy is. Make sure we're calibrated or zeroed. And the calipers tell us 0.337. Yeah, nice. Very nice. And the one that's listed on Blade HQ's website in titanium says it's even thinner than this at 0.32. I'd have to get one in hand and measure it, which I haven't done, but I believe that it's at least as thin as this guy, possibly a little bit thinner. So lots of good capability, but very, very thin and super easy to carry around. And here's the last one I want to show you, the Kershaw Leek. Now the Kershaw Leek has been one of my favorite knives. I think I own 4 or 5 of them. This is the only one that I have that is the frame lock variety. The other ones are the liner locks with the aluminum scales on them in various colors. So the frame lock variety is one of my favorites because of how thin it is and how flat that is in your pocket, even in your waistband. You know, you can set that with a lock on it and drop that down into your waistband, have that kind of hide behind your belt or something like that and inside your waistband. And you don't feel it there, nobody notices it there, and yet you've got a pretty capable little EDC knife in your hand that is ultra thin, ultra fine tip on it, just a terrific knife. So how thin exactly is the frame lock Kershaw Leek? Let's find out. We've got 0.318 or 7, depending on where you're floating to. That is so thin. So under 0.32 inches. So that is the thinnest one I've got here on the table. That's pretty awesome. Now, again, there are thinner knives out there, but as far as the capabilities they give you, I'm not so sure that, you know, the trade-off is really worth it. If I could do one bonus knife, let's bring this guy out, and I kind of hesitate to do it because you can't really find it anymore. The CRKT Ripple, also a gorgeous knife, Ken Onion design, and it is exceptionally thin as well. We'll do a quick measurement on this guy. Once again, it's not really easy to find out there. You can find other versions of the Ripple, but not the frame lock version like this one is. 0.33, very cool. Very thin, very easy to carry. It's tip down only, but whatever. And again, hard to find, so I kind of hesitate to show it to you. Let's call this one a bonus. But if we were to just kind of roll out the 5 that are officially part of the list, here we have them all with all those measurements down at the bottom of the screen for you in here in a second. There they are. Great knives, guys. Very thin, very easy to carry, very accessible as far as prices, and we'll have all that below. And links, of course, to all of them if you're interested in getting any of these knives. They're all terrific knives. They're all thin knives. They're very capable knives. And I think, again, they fit the exact right balance of being really easy to carry, exceptionally easy to carry, while maintaining some really good utility. They're just great knives. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this list of 5 ultra-thin knives for EDC. Feel free to share your thoughts down below. What are some ultra-thin knives that you enjoy carrying? Tell me about their specs as well. Maybe I should check them out. All right, guys, I'm the Late Boy Scout. We'll talk to you later.